is our last show of the year, and I think what better way we can finish the year off is by reviewing the year. I want us to discuss a number of favorites of the year. I hope you guys are ready and have your favorites ready. We're going to go and go around the room, discuss, chat about a number of bests of the year. We'll have wrestler of the year. We'll have match of the year, tag team of the year, feud of the year, breakout wrestler of the year, biggest surprise or shock of the year, and then overall promotion of the year. In promotion of the year, I want to kind of break it down a bit by like 3 or 4 specific things. So once we get there, we'll talk more about it. And because honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this year has been like so chock full of amazing matches, like superstars that and wrestlers that were like just above and beyond, like just great. It was really difficult for me to pick just one. So I'm kind of wrestling between saying 1 or 2. We are going to divide it by male and female because I feel like that's a little more fair than just kind of bunching them all together. But we'll start with 1, and if you feel like you got another one in you, then bring it up to. I think that's only fair. But I want to start with, you know what? I think Wrestler of the Year. Let's save that for last. Let's start with Breakout Wrestler of the Year. So in 2024, and this is, AEW, WWE. If you watched Ring of Honor, I mean, I guess I would rope it into AEW because it's under that umbrella, but we can say Ring of Honor separately. New Japan, whatever you watch, Stardom, Marigold, and NXT isn't WWE, but anybody in terms of a breakout star of the year, I'm going to start first. I'm going to say that my breakout wrestler of the year is Chelsea Green.
No.
And I have a number of reasons, and when I ask you about your wrestler, I also want you to give reasons because we want to duke it out. We want to discuss about why you're right or you're wrong. So with Chelsea Green, the reason I put her as breakout star of the year, and she's really kind of cutting it close to the end of the year. For one, she is the first ever inaugural women's United States champion. The other thing that I want to say when it comes to Chelsea Green is that, and a lot of people have said this before, but it encapsulates it so perfectly, is that Chelsea Green, if she has 5 minutes, if she has 10 minutes, if she has 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever it is, she knows how to maximize and take advantage of her minutes. If I had to pick someone who's the most entertaining person, like people say pound for pound, I'm going to say minute for minute person. I think Chelsea Green is the most entertaining wrestler of the year. Well, you can say your piece, but let me first finish my explanation. Of the year. I mean, she understands how to be, cheesy. She knows how. Do you guys remember the Money in the Bank in Toronto? Like that Money in the Bank ladder match where she was climbing up the rope and then she basically, like, she puts her body through a bunch. She's not only entertaining, she puts her body through a bunch of crap. She fell through, she went from the ceiling trying to grab the Money in the Bank, down to the floor, not in the ring, past the ring, onto 2 or 3 tables. She was in that dumpster match with Michin, which I thought was, like, if we're talking about super entertaining, that was top tier. And again, like her promo work, I'm not going to point out any one specific one because it's a series of just like entertaining segments and promos that she's had. And again, like she won, and rightfully so, a championship, and it's a mid-tier championship. It's like the IC belt or the United States belt, and I'm glad that WWE introduced these belts because I think there has been a layer of women in WWE that they think are good, but they, for whatever reason, they don't put them in the title picture So giving them some kind of acknowledgement, I think, is the absolute right thing to do. So that's mine. That's my pick for breakout star of the year. Now, Chris, tell me why I'm wrong.
Because it's Tony Storm. That's why.
Well, okay, so let me tell you this. Breakout star of the year. So Tony Storm, I don't think fits that category because she is more of like a women's wrestler of the year. Breakout star of the year, I think, is someone who has been kind of bubbling under the surface and then breaks out this year. And I don't think Tony Storm was bubbling under the surface in 2024 because Tony Storm had a good year in 2023 and then she continued that in 2024. So you see my logic there? That's why I wouldn't put.
Mm,
You can't put Tony Storm as a breakout because she's already a star. You know what I mean?
She's
yeah.
So
already
that's what I
broken
mean.
out.
What's that?
Said she's already broken out.
Exactly. She's already past the breakout part. She's a main eventer. I'm talking about like Chelsea Green has basically been like joke, laughing stock, butt of the joke, loses in matches, but fans really want it, and then she finally gets it, and she has a bunch of highlights. So does that rethink your choice?
Yeah, I suppose.
And again, like it's not breakout star of the year. For this one, I'm gonna say just pick one. It doesn't have to be both male and female for this one. So if you can pick one male or female breakout star of the year, who would it be? I'll go to David because maybe you know, and I'll go back to Chris.
I'll give it to Swerve.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Why?
he's in another category for me.
He could be. He could be.
Yeah.
He could be in a number. Like for him, it could be a number. But his, for me, I think is valid. Chris, if you want to say Tony Storm breakout, sure. But I just told you why I think that's wrong. But you can keep it.
But yeah, like
Why?
so Swerve this time last year was getting ready for a blow off match with Dustin Rhodes.
Yep.
So and before this year it was a lot of like Swerve was just a guy who was like coming up short or like being like put against like people from New Japan and like their mid card for like Forbidden Door time, or getting thrown in the coffin for Sting and Darby and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then he got the belt over with by beating Joe. He had his summertime, and then he lost to Danielson.
Yeah, I mean that's a good pick, and
Yeah.
he was one of. Well, we'll get into that later in terms of wrestlers of the year. There were just so many that I'm like, I could make an argument for Swerve. I could make an argument for A, B, C, or D, and he was in my top, but he didn't end up being my top guy. But
He
all
made it
right,
easy to turn Hangman heel.
yeah,
I got one.
okay. What do you got and why?
Takeshita. I feel
Takeshita.
it's either Takeshita or Kyle Fletcher. I still don't know in my head, but I'm just gonna say Takeshita.
Okay, why?
I mean, he finally got the belt, but I feel like he's just been this good raw talent that has been, like you said, kind of bubbling, and then I feel like he's in a better position this year. Um, but like just more recently, Kyle Fletcher, I think, has been putting on some really good matches, and he's trying to kind of reinvent himself. So I don't know. It's kind of a toss up for me between those two guys. But
Honestly, that's fair.
they're both
I
from the
think
Don
that-
Callis family, so I guess the Don Callis family is the breakout star.
He's got a chokehold on you, Don Callis.
with the oddities.
Yeah, the oddities.
Oddities. Well,
But
All right,
Takesha's
Andres.
been
Oh yeah,
defending.
go for it, David. Sorry.
Takesha's been defending the international title in other promotions too, and he had a sick match that I watched in Maple Leaf Pro.
How do you feel his wrestling career has been this year compared to like previous years that he's been under AEW?
I think this year's been nothing but positive for him, even outside of AEW. Like he's been able to work on his like international brand and just be able to like go other places and rep AEW, but like keep wrestling his way.
Mm-hmm. Good points. Alrighty, Andres, do you have one in mind? Breakout Star of the Year. And again, if
Yeah,
you're wrestling between one or two,
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. You can just kind of give me your points to one and two. We'll be a little loosey
gotcha,
goosey here.
gotcha. No, only one really came to mind for me, but it was more WWE specific, and that was Damian Priest.
Mm,
He was obviously relegated to the stable for a while in Judgment Day, and he won the tag titles, and then he went from that to rivaling the Judgment Day and also getting into the world heavyweight title scene. And he's still relegating between that too, but like you can see like how he's grown so much just this year alone, how he's progressed so much. He's
yeah,
still in the scene of the title scene. He's got a great singles run, and he's doing a lot of good matches with Gunther as well, as long as fighting Finn Balor on the side too.
yeah. That's a good one, honestly. I
Good
was
moment.
he was like another person that I was like thinking about as wrestler of the year, and again, I'll tell you who it's gonna be later. But yeah, like Damian Priest. I mean, he started out the year as a heel, ends the year as a giant babyface, has a pretty great run as world heavyweight champion. I mean, that guy deserves it. Talk about like, earning your flowers. I mean, I think he's been like really put on the map like last year when like the thing that really sticks out for me with him is that Bad Bunny match in Puerto Rico, which I think was last year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, a solid worker. And again, like just thinking about so many of these like top guys. I mean, what a fountain of like just amazing top talents. Like I remember watching in the mid 2010s. You couldn't really like you had like maybe one or two. Like it was John Cena, Daniel Bryan, yeah, maybe someone else, but it's not like that. Like it's like their quality, but then you have them like in AEW, in WWE, and there's like 15 of them. So really, really hard to pick this year.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, let's go to feud of the year. So feud of the year. I feel like it's pretty easy to pick just one, but since it's Christmas, maybe you're feeling a little generous and you want to put up another feud. That's fine, but at least have one. So I'll start and I'll say that my feud of the year is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, you say of course. You say of course, but the internet wrestling community and everyone else also says of course because it was just that damn good this year. You can't deny that CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre was not a contender for feud of the year.
No, for
Like
sure.
you at least got to think they're in the running. I mean, they just think about the sheer amount. Like Drew McIntyre, I think if I put a hater of the year award, I think I would give it to Drew McIntyre for this year. Think about all the crap that he did. He went to Mindy's Bakery in Chicago and was live streaming, basically referencing an AEW like Easter egg on WWE. Well, not television; it was on social media. But I think they might have actually also aired it on WWE TV to CM Punk. He won the belt, lost it the same night. I mean, the blood feud that he had with CM Punk, I mean, it's legendary. And talk about CM Punk, who basically was injured for half the year, maximizing his minutes, not being in a ring, just doing promo work. I mean, do you remember being at Raw in Chicago? Like, that specific, like, promo when it was just him, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, a microphone, and I think they just told them, here's a couple of bullet points and go crazy. Like, that was in April, and basically that extended throughout the entire year, and then culminated. And I think what is one of the best matches of the year. It's not my match of the year, so don't think it is. At Bad Blood with the Hell in a Cell match. I mean, it's not my match of the year, but it is absolutely a contender. And what a way, like to build a feud. If there's a structure and you want an ideal finish. Talk about like a picture perfect finish to a feud with a Hell in a Cell match. I mean, I don't think any other feud really tops it. If we're talking about match for match, promo for promo, month to month, It's got to be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. All right, now we're gonna do the same order. Chris, tell me why I'm wrong.
Because he didn't burn his damn house down.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
That was my
Yeah.
reason too.
All right,
man.
why is the Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland your feud of the year?
I thought there was just a lot of good heats, and the matches themselves were just so brutal. Like every single time they stepped in the ring, every part to those matches were always just like, oh god, like somebody call the police. Like it's like it was essentially every single time, so it really showed that there was just this pure just hatred for each other. Whereas yeah, there was a nice crescendo for the Punk thing and all that. So I don't know. I just feel like and I love Swerve and him as a wrestler. So maybe that's a preview for my wrestler of the year. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to those guys because I just remember watching. It might have been the last time they faced off against each other, where it was unsanctioned. I think it was like an unsanctioned match, and it was just it was pretty insane. It was pretty insane.
Hmm.
Needles.
No, honestly, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be a hater. I do think that was one of the top feuds of the year for sure. And I wished Swerve Strickland's reign was longer.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately and fortunately, the person he lost to, that was one of my match of the year contenders. We'll see. I might change my mind. Maybe it still is or isn't. But yeah, I think that feud that they had between him and Hangman, I think, yeah, I mean, it was great. I was also when I was buying your guys' figures, there was like at least 5 Hangman Adam Page figures right next to like the remaining Trish Stratus figures. I wasn't sure if you guys wanted a Hangman figure, so that's why I didn't get a Hangman figure.
Was his eyes like this though? Was it?
It
like,
was like his face on the box was like, like
Was
that,
it
like
All
his
range.
was it
permanent
the
psycho face.
was it the current version of him then? It wasn't like
Yeah, it was like permanent, like the psycho face. Yeah, I don't know.
damn. That's the one. Nah, it's good. Seth Rollins is cool too, of course. He's pretty
Oh,
crazy. That's the
yeah.
next feud for CM.
Yeah,
Punk.
exactly. I mean, they're building a feud of the year right now as we speak. And honestly, and kind of going back to Drew McIntyre too. Really curious where he goes in 2025 because I also feel like he doesn't need CM Punk to be like the top guy. Drew McIntyre solidified himself as a top guy this year. He was like in the running. He won the belt during COVID. Then he was just kind of hanging around a bit. He was a top guy, but like this year he's like, I am the top guy, and you put him up against anybody, no one will doubt that he's the top guy. But anyway, David, who is your feud of the year?
I will have to go with Chris.
Damn.
Swerve
All right,
Hangman.
what's your reason?
On top of all that, like the detail that Chris had mentioned, like also like Hangman was also trying to cost matches
Yep.
for Swerve, or even like he lost that triple threat match just so Swerve didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was
And
just
just like little details like that.
pettiness. I mean, like you
Yeah.
talk about the Drew McIntyre pettiness. I mean, there was equal amount, I would say, from Adam Page, Hangman on behalf of Swerve Strickland, and I feel like it's just like Swerve himself. He can be very expressive with his face and just like overall in the ring as far as like the standoff and breathing room and all that kind of stuff. It just yeah. Anyways, continue.
Yeah,
Dave.
that's good. Do you have any other reasons before the judge of why you think it's feud of the year?
No. Punk and Drew were next.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Just
Andres?
no arson, so it's like
Yeah, there's no arson. I guess arson's like +1.
yeah.
I'm gonna divide us. I'm gonna agree with Marcin because I was with the Drew McIntyre CM Punk
Oh,
feud
Civil
as well.
War.
No!
All right.
But to your point too, he was doing a lot of cool stuff on like social media stuff, making things personal with the whole AJ Lee bracelet. Also, kind of like potentially making people think AJ Lee was gonna make an appearance to come back too.
Yeah, honestly, I thought about that too, and that is kind of funny because they're like, like the typical, structure in a Hell in a Cell match. Someone will eventually maybe pull out a bag of thumbtacks, but he pulled out a bag of AJ Lee bracelet, beads, which I thought was
Mhm.
pretty hilarious. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh no,
good.
I agree with him. Yeah, no, it was a good rivalry. Yeah, and honestly, honorable mention too. I think the Seth Rollins CM Punk feud right now, like they're cutting such amazing promos against each other right now.
Yeah,
Like
even right
I'm
now,
really looking forward to that.
even like at the beginning of the year, you remember when Seth Rollins was the world heavyweight champion and Cody Rhodes was basically begging him to wrestle him. I mean, yeah, again, CM Punk still had a run with him in the promo when it was in Chicago. I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, you could pull it back to even like Survivor Series 2023 with the ass end of last year, where if you saw the camera, like I don't know if it's someone in WWE or just someone in the audience who was just like recording, and you just saw Seth Rollins like just flipping the bird and just getting super mad. I'm
Hmm.
assuming it's kayfabe, but there is enough animosity between them that you could also believe that that was real. But you know what, guys? You also left another big feud on the table. What about Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and The Rock? Do you remember that whole freaking thing? Like that shit also was one of my contenders. It's gonna
That
be
was a
one of
good
my
one.
moments of the year. I'll say that. But
Too
that
short.
it's a banger. Nah, man. You could say the same thing for Swerve and Hangman then if we're talking about shortness. Because
No, that's gone on for a while, bro.
how long? Like this more than this year?
Yeah, because remember he drank his blood? That was like last summer.
I don't know. I guess you're right.
Oh yeah,
And,
that's what
and then
started
there
it,
was
man.
Yeah.
That
nothing
shit was
before that, yeah.
nuts. Literal
Yeah.
blood feud.
But the Cody, like let's say Cody Rock. If we're just doing Cody Rock, I mean,
No, it was good.
come on. Like
Yeah,
that
for
shit
sure.
was money. That shit was money. Um,
And we were there.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. All right, so we did Breakout. You know what? Let's do like biggest surprise shock of the year. So the most unexpected or shocking moment of the year. Now, I feel like we could probably come up with one for each company. So you can pick one, but I'm gonna do two. I'll do one for WWE, one for AEW. So for WWE, uh, the most shocking thing for me was when we did attend Raw, and we were at the Raw where The Rock showed up unannounced. Like he was scheduled to show up, I think the following week,
Yeah.
and Cody Rhodes was cutting a promo, and we were our seats were basically right by the entrance, and it was basically you could see the between the entrance and the waiting part where the wrestler's waiting, there's some visibility there. And while Cody Rhodes was cutting his promo, I saw The Rock standing behind the curtain, pacing back and forth. I don't know if he's hyping himself up or what. He was probably waiting to get those goosebumps on his forearm. I think that's that he was doing. He shows up and he doesn't say. I don't think he says anything. Right? He just walks out,
Yeah.
stares at him, and then just walks back. I think he might have whispered something to him. He might have said something like he thinks I'm gonna make you bleed or something like that. He mouthed that to him. And then at the end of the show, what happens? The Rock. So we assume The Rock just came left. The Rock comes back, like it's literally backstage, and then just starts attacking him, beating the crap out of him, throwing f bombs, dragging him out into the pouring rain in Chicago, smacking him up against his bus, talking crap about Mama Rhodes, making him bleed, pulling out his belt, beating his ass, putting the blood on his belt.
Look at this.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this. It's perfect. I mean, that was like, I think that was one of my most like shocking, surprising moments of the year was that, because I wasn't expecting that, and to see that also in person was amazing. For AEW, this is going to be part of why I don't think they're promotion of the year, but it is a shocking, surprising thing. Is the CM Punk had an interview. Ariel Helwani was asking him about the incident that got him fired at AEW, and he explained that he choked out Jack Perry a little bit, and then AEW proceeded to confirm the story. I think they used it as an opportunity to get a ratings boost, and they showed the backstage footage, just like no commentary, no nothing, just let it aired.
Close.
Yep.
And yeah, and then they aired it, and a lot of people thought it was kind of gross that they did that. And I thought it sucked. I mean, it's titillating in the sense like, okay, yeah, you got like a TMZ style like footage, like, oh, here it is, but I didn't think they proved any. I didn't think they proved any point. I think all you did was just backed up Punk's claims, and that was it. And I thought that put a black eye on AEW around that time. And I think that was my most surprising, shocking moment of the year from AEW. But Chris, what do you have? You got one? You got two? What do you got for me?
I got two. For AEW, I'm gonna have to say, Private Party finally winning their tag team belts on free fucking TV. I mean, that shit.
Honestly, yeah, that is surprising. Yeah,
that shit popped my ass for sure. I was like, ah, like literal mouth open. And it was about damn time. I mean, those guys have been with the company since the inception of AEW as far as tag teams are concerned. So, like, fucking finally. So that's why I would say that's the most shocking on the AEW side. For WWE, I would have to say John Cena's retirement announcement was pretty shocking.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good one.
Because he was the guy during our kind of like peak wrestling, or when we started watching wrestling again, he was the guy.
I mean, yeah, he was basically our Hulk Hogan, I think. And also, like, not only did he announce his retirement, but he basically, I don't think there has been any wrestler who's basically like, I'm doing a retirement. I mean, I think there has been like a half-ass retirement tour, but I think he actually means it. Like, I mean, Shawn Michaels bar Saudi Arabia match. Like, besides that one match that he did, he's basically one of those people that would never wrestle again. And I think John Cena, I believe him when he says this is his last year and he's not. I think he'll make appearances, but in terms of in-ring stuff, I don't think he's wrestling again. So that's a really good one.
Yeah, you better have his damn crew cut, the jeans.
I want the crew cut. I want the jorts. I want every single like colored like shirt that he wore. Rotate it in every house match that you're in. PLE. He's gonna be on like the Netflix Raw debut.
Oh, for sure.
I wonder if he's gonna be on SmackDown too, because I feel like with him, he doesn't have to be tied to Raw. I feel like he's got to be going Raw and SmackDown. Like whoever's in his like retirement tour, I think he'll do whatever. So yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, like legend in the business. I'm literally announcing like a retirement tour, like freaking like Elton John or Cher or whatever. Yeah, see me when you see me. It's gonna be my last Rumble, etc., etc.
He's gonna go the way of Kiss or Rolling Stones, who've had like multiple retirement
20
tours.
retirement tours. No, that's Ric Flair, bro. That's Ric Flair. That's a good one. All right, David, what do you got for me? Surprising, shocking moments of the year.
Shocking moment I would give to Priest's cash-in at Mania.
Oh yeah.
And then for AEW, it would be the death of Bryan Danielson.
Oh yeah,
Honestly, yeah.
got the
Yeah.
bag.
I thought
Yeah.
about it. Honestly, it was shocking in a number of ways. How convoluted it was, the ending. How you have like a story, but he could have just retired at freaking All In, got his belt,
Oh, that
had
was All
the
In, wasn't it?
yeah,
Jumped
wasn't
his
it
ass.
All In?
Yeah, they jumped his
They
ass.
jumped his ass at All Out.
All out. Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. It
jumped
was,
no, but no, he won the belt at All In. No, they jumped his ass at Wrestle Dream. That's what it was.
Was it Wrestle Dream?
He lost at Wrestle Dream, so
Yeah.
so that's why I was like, all right, this is weird because I mean, I guess because it was in Washington State,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
Oh, shit. I forgot about that part.
yeah. So okay, so that this is why I'm like a little. I mean, yeah, that definitely fits the bill because
Yeah.
I was like, he wins the belt, and that is one of my matches of the year is Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson at All In London. And I mean he gets the whole 9 yards. He gets his entire theme song, you know, and all that. Wins the belt, all that, and then he wrestles at Wrestle Dream, and then he gets jumped by Blackpool Combat Club. Gets like a plastic bag, like you bag some corn or potatoes in over his head. No hole in the bag or anything. Just freaking like tied it around like a hostage situation. Uh, and yeah, basically loses in his hometown. I mean, he is that kind of guy who's like he's like what Sting also wanted to do. Is like, oh, I want to lose, I want to give it away. Yeah, like I get that, bro, but like if we're talking about giving people what they want and leaving them with a happy ending, that's that's just not what you did for one, but also like that ending was just so convoluted that just made me disappointed if that was his actual retirement match. But anyway, that's a good choice. Did you say one for WWE?
Priest.
Oh yeah, Priest. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, the Priest thing. I mean, yeah, that was what WrestleMania 40. I mean that was also shocking and hilarious at the same time because again like that was for me also peak Triple H booking because you're checking a number of boxes when it came to that specific booking thing. You are advancing CM Punk's storyline because Drew McIntyre gets pissed off that CM Punk was at commentary. He gets distracted, and then you get a great surprise where Priest comes in, cashes in, wins the belt, new champ, continue the feud, money. Good shit.
Dude, I'll put an honorable mention.
All right,
Fucking
what do you got?
Alfonso cashing in on Bay Kyler Bray, bro.
Honestly, yeah. I said WWE. Well, honestly, I said anything, Ring of Honor or whatever. So that's a good one.
Got my. I was
Yeah.
out. That was like organic, like shock to me. I was like,
Yeah, that was all.
no.
It was organic shock because I didn't know that they had that. And I'm like, what's going? First of all, I was like, what's going on? And then when he was like waving around his chip metal or whatever you want to call it, and then pins her. Yeah, that was a good way because what that worked for the reason it worked for me for that also was she's kind of like I'm assuming she's on her way to do like WWE stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's why they got the belt off her and put her on Fonto, which I think is very deserved because he's also like a super entertaining guy. Like talk about another guy who's super entertaining, maximizes his minutes. He's also very good at that kind of stuff. Like I could see him being in like a WWE style ring. You know what I mean? Like I could see him in the Alpha Academy. I feel like that'd be awesome. If they put him in the Alpha Academy, he would fit right in with Otis, and everybody else. So
Who doesn't like hearing that Karate Kid song every time?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right, Andres. Now your surprising, shocking moment of the year.
I wrote it down, but like they both were mentioned. The murder of Daniel Bryan was one. Obviously, for me too, the John Cena. Yeah, it's a literal murder, and then the John Cena announcement for his retirement tour. But I also put down the Dominic Mysterio betrayal to Rhea Ripley.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That I
That's
don't
a
know
good
if it
one.
was like kind of like people were suspecting that, but I colored me shocked because I actually did not expect that. I was like, oh damn, like because we were all watching it together, and I was like, oh man, what the fuck? So
Yeah, you don't make a heel go heel
Did one
again.
apiece.
Yeah, double heel.
yeah,
You were the Undertaker guy when he got pinned. Eyes
hmm
bulging. He's like, what the fuck?
yep.
That
And
was
they sold
good.
that shit too, because I mean, like he's like leaving with her, he's kissing her, and then you get that shot of like Rhea just like all defeated. I'm like, damn,
Yeah. I mean, like
having that breakout.
that is like a yeah. Again, like I don't think I've ever seen like a heel turn heel. Like that was one of those moments where they were all
Yeah.
heel already, obviously with Rhea Ripley and all that kind of stuff. But Rhea Ripley, and she's another wrestler of the year contender. I mean, she's a heel, but she's like a Steve Austin type of like. I feel like she's like an anti-hero type of person. I feel like that's kind of her character. So like she was a heel, but she was already kind of like getting cheered and she was a face. So obviously the betrayal for Dominic Mysterio, who was getting nuclear heat all year until like because New Day's another one. I'm like, God damn, you guys had to like do these segments recently where you just had to mess up my potential like moments and wrestlers of the year. But I think I might just save them for next year because I know that they're gonna just keep building up. um, oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw Raw, but Kofi Kingston's mother was in the audience, and they had a whole thing there, so that should be good. FYI.
Oh man,
Oh man, they're
they
going
put her
all the
through the
way.
barbershop window.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say, like they know
What?
how
I
to.
already broke the glass for her.
Yeah, they already know how to get heat. That like the Triple H and them like let's bring out Kofi's mothers because they're already hated. Let's have her also have an issue.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, great pick. Yeah, double heel turn from Dominic Mysterio. Why not? Let's do tag team of the year. Now, I think for me personally, I think this was a little more difficult because I didn't feel like there was like someone who ran away with it. You know what I mean? I did have a choice, and I picked Judgment Day as tag team of the year. They've been tag team for a good portion of the year. Until they lost it to the War Raiders, I believe, the other week. Um, but yeah, I think they've been. I mean, they've been consistent. They've been strong. They've been dominant. They've been at the top of Monday Night Raw for a good portion of the year. And yeah, I mean that's all I really have on them, to be honest with you. But that's my tag team of the year. Um, Honestly, I was thinking of like R-Truth and Miz, but that was too short. I felt like to actually put them in tag team of the year. So yeah. All right, Chris, what about you? Tag team of the year.
Oh, Mark's gonna love this one.
Yeah.
Young Bucks, baby. Yee! Sorry,
why
it
do you
goes to
why
the
do you think
Bucks.
why do you think the Young Bucks are tag team of the year?
I think they've had a pretty dominant run, and honestly, their matches generally, I haven't seen a real stinker as far as like I was not entertained by a Young Bucks match on some level. So I would say, I mean, whether the elite stuff panned out or not, as far as that was concerned, like the kata and where they at and all this kind of stuff, but them as a tag team, I would say they always have a good display of just tag team wrestling in the modern sense. So I would say that's why it kind of goes to them. And props to them for finally putting over Private Party. So good on them. They got the extra star.
Fair enough. All right, David, who's your tag team of the year?
I will give it to the Motor City Machine Guns.
Damn. I guess they just got debuted and then WWE and then they just won the belts.
Well,
So I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
So like they've been in TNA forever. They go to New Japan and do all that too, but it's like they leave a comfort zone of being able to do that because they are veterans,
Mm-hmm.
in the double digits.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have went the easy route and where everybody was speculating them to go, which was AEW. And they go to TNA, they leave TNA, they do like a brief indie run. They showed up at Freelance. They do that indie run so that everybody's speculating more. Oh, it's definitely AEW if they're still doing indies.
Mm-hmm.
And then they show up in WWE and win it just as quick.
I mean, that's also pretty crazy. That Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, they are basically TNA legends, and
They've been around since we were kids.
yeah. I mean, I remember like when we were playing like SmackDown versus Raw,
You could
like
get,
06 or
get their
7.
cause.
You see like their calls, like Chris Sabin, Chris Sabin, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, or yeah,
Yeah.
not the yeah. They like I remember when we were like right in our what do you want to call it? Like I'm gonna say clan, but not like the clan.
Internet Federation. Internet Federation.
They call Internet Federation. Thank you. Like I don't know when the word clan like stopped being a thing, because I remember when it was like it wasn't just wrestling, it was also like Call of Duty and that kind of stuff. Like who's your clan, you know? And honestly, maybe they stopped because that just made it sound a little 1920s or something, 1915. I'm in the clan.
1856.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but like there were people in our federation who like, because everyone picks a character and then your character is in your little signature. You get like a signature, and it was still like the signature where they had like the glittery stuff and like the little pictures. Like it was very like 2005, 6 or whatever. Yeah, MySpace era, like glitter, like make jokes of those Puerto Rican people with the flags and the glitter stuff. But like the Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley stuff, like I just remember like the palm pointing and all that kind of stuff. And I saw some of their matches and footage in the periphery, but I wasn't very invested in their career. So just seeing them in a WWE ring, also, I mean, like what, they're in their 40s, I think. It's not like they're that old. Like as a wrestler, that's still pretty young. Like all things considered, like Ric Flair's like what, 70, whatever. Like they're basically young bucks at this point. So yeah, I mean, like I think that's a great pick. And again, like one of those, like for me, that's also like a shocking moment of the year is seeing like a TNA legendary tag team in a WWE ring with a Triple H finger point and then winning the tag belts in that short of a span of a debut. So good pick. Andres, who do you have for tag team? And Chris is still laughing at the clan joke, I guess.
It caught me off guard too, so I was like, "Yo." But I'm gonna go with Judgment Day as well. They've been pretty dominating of that division for a while, and having a great stable and having good storylines too. Along with that, that's pretty much an easier pick for me. I wanted to say FTR, but like I enjoy them, but I'm not like as familiar with them versus like a Judgment Day. So for me, it would have been an easier way to go with the team I knew better.
All right. Oh, fellow clan member Chris, what about the Outrunners? No one said Breakout Star or tag team. What about the Outrunners? I think I feel like they should be a breakout star. Wouldn't you agree, Outrunners?
Sure. Well, they're stars plural though.
That's true. Sure, whatever. But like, I guess I would categorize them if it was a unit.
Tag team of the year.
Yeah, tag team of the year. Exactly. I don't think I'd put them as tag team of the year, but they're definitely on the radar. All right, good peeps. Let's go to the next one. Well, we're narrowing down. Let's do match of the year. Now, this is very hard. I thought this was very hard. And I do want to say, I do want to, if you can only think of one, that's fine. For me, I have a male and a female, and also even with that, I had like issues picking just one of each. But I'll start with like 1 and 1, and then we can just kind of go from there if people, have additional thoughts. But all right, so this was very hard. So for me, the thing that made me decide what it is what did it make me feel? What made me so invested? What gave me that climax that I wanted? That story ejaculation, if you will. And it has to be Cody Rhodes
Jesus.
versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. Like
What?
that was the only match that made me give a guttural scream and Donkey Kong fists on the ground. Like that's the only match that happened this year. So because it made me feel those things, I have to give it to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. Yeah, exactly. And here's why. I mean, besides me just explaining partially, here's why. But in the actual match itself, I mean, a big chunk of it was also the cameos. I won't deny that. But the match itself, I thought was paced really well. The build up to the match, I mean, what can you say? It was 2 years in the making, and this was the payoff. This was the final match, basically, that had Cody Rhodes finish the story. I mean, it helped that they had this entire monkey wrench that they threw in during WrestleMania season when they were like, okay, Cody, you won the Royal Rumble, but actually The Rock's facing Roman Reigns, so good luck next time, kid. And we had we want Cody, like this was all organic. Like just think about the actual steps that it took to get to that match. We had the we want Cody chants, and they literally pivoted because they actually did plan out The Rock versus Roman Reigns. And then The Rock was like, you know what? Let me just turn heel, which was like, that was the best choice of his career because I think The Rock's character was the best of his career since Hollywood Rock in 2002. Like his John Cena stuff and Rock stuff was great, but I think as a character, The Rock works best as like a cocky, like basically a heel, but you can't boo him because he's just so funny and entertaining, you know. And so that pivot worked well for him. It worked well for the story because the audience got what they want, and they pulled the trigger and actually gave Cody Rhodes the championship. So I mean, you got an Undertaker cameo, you got a John Cena Rock showdown, you got Seth Rollins showing up in the Shield gear and hitting Roman Reigns. I mean, talk about long-term storytelling. That's 10 years in the making, and you get something that fans really wanted with Cody Rhodes finally winning the championship. I mean, how can there be anything but that specific match? But I don't know. That was my match of the year. I'm trying to think if we should just go around and just pick our first match, and then we can do the women if you guys have one. You know what? I'm gonna do the women right now, and then I'll just ask you guys if you have another one. And okay, and here's another issue because I did have two for the men. I also had Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks. And again, it's what makes me feel something. And Tony Khan at AEW Revolution made me feel something with that match. I wasn't expecting Sting to go through glass at 60-something years old. I wasn't expecting that that introduction, the movie vignettes, his sons in Sting face paint, him actually winning, because I did think that he was just going to do the job and retain. I mean, Darby Allin being a crazy fuck and, injuring himself and then saying he's going to, climb Mount Everest afterwards.
And then get hit by a bus.
Yeah, get hit by a bus. I mean, yeah, and that was like another one. It was very hard, but I had to do Cody Rhodes just because it just made me feel that much more. But Sting and Darby Allin versus Young Bucks was a very, 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 very close second. So that for the males, for the females, And this was another hard one. So it was between Bailey and Io Sky at WrestleMania 40, and also Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné at Double or Nothing. I thought that was a great match. I think that was Mercedes' like debut match at AEW, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So so it sucked that Willow Nightingale lost, but I thought like that match was a banger. It made her look better in the long run. Willow Nightingale is also another one who's in my wrestler of the year for women contender. And yeah, I mean it was just a fantastic match. So it was really hard for me for the women. But honestly, I think I'm going to give it to Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes. I thought Bailey versus Io Sky was fantastic. I think that finish with the Rose Plant. And Io Sky, I mean, I still feel like Io Sky is such an underrated like wrestler. She's been women's champion, and I did enjoy the Damage Control feud. I thought it could have because they were also like there were other things like CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and all that. I didn't think it was as spotlighted, but I still enjoyed like when I'm looking back at it, the Bailey versus Damage Control feud, and it culminating at WrestleMania 40 and her beating Io Sky. I mean, I just thought that was great. And they put on a banger match. Io Sky is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, period, point blank, end of story. There is no debating that. I think she's fantastic. So yeah, but I got to give it to Will Nightingale and Mercedes. I got to give AEW some love, you know. Yeah, I've been giving WWE most of it, but yeah, those are my matches of the year. All right, Chris, you got a match of the year? You got one of each gender? What do you got?
And we got one. I didn't think about the women's, but
Texas.
let it be known. No, I'm gonna have to give it to Brian and Swerve. It was just good overall match. It was just really, really good. It started out really technical, kind of like Brian's style. They were doing a lot of like flipping and back and forths, like kind of like mat wrestling style stuff. And then there was just a lot of good breathing room towards the middle and end of that match specifically. So, I think did Brian get out to a 1 count at some point? I think he did. It was very Dragon Ball esque, where he like is like, what the fuck? Like I hit you with like a finisher, and he got out of it. So there was just a lot of good, just like momentum building towards the very end, and Swerve was just really good at selling in the pacing of this specific match. So yeah, man. I mean, I just really enjoyed it.
Good pick. All right, David, what do you got for me? Match of the year.
I got both promos, each gender.
Let's do it.
So they'll start with AEW. I'll give the men's side Swerve versus Ospreay.
Oh, see, there you go. I was hoping someone would say that.
I like the pacing of that one a little more than like him and Danielson, just in the sense that like it proved that Ospreay can like do that 30-40 minute like American style match, I would guess they would want to call it, because it did feel like it almost felt like we were watching like two Randy Ortons, but just with a different moveset, but just like that overall pace and feel. It didn't feel like we were there for 40 minutes.
Yep. That's a good one.
I'd give the women's side Willow versus Statlander at All Out.
Yeah, I guess that was
didn't have
crazy.
to be.
Yeah.
That one didn't have to be that brutal and be that good, but it was.
Can't do the Van Damme split on a bunch of tacks. That was pretty gnarly.
Honestly, yeah.
And then for the E, I gave women's match to Bailey versus Io.
Yeah.
And then on the men's side, I would say it was actually Punk and Drew with Rollins as the guest ref. I felt like that was a very entertaining match.
Oh yeah, that was SummerSlam? Was that SummerSlam?
Yeah, I meant Rollins Drew with Punk as the guest ref.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, my brain's working. All right, yeah. Honestly, like there were so many good matches. I couldn't bring it down to just like one. I had to do like one or two, and then you're also making you remember other great matches. There were just like a cornucopia of choices. I had so much to pick from. Yeah,
It's Punk
awesome.
Drew, Rollins ref. Fuck. Yeah.
No, it was
Yeah,
Punk Drew
yeah.
Rollins. Yeah.
Shit, there might still be one more at World's End. Who knows? It's not at the end of the year yet.
Oh, under the year. Well,
Yeah.
that's
Good
how
time
our
to
wrestling
record.
schedule works. We had plenty to work with. All right, Andres, what is your match of the year or two or three?
I had for the female side, I had the War Games match, actually.
Oh,
I
nice.
really did enjoy that one. That was a really good one. Obviously, Io Sky being crazy and doing a moonsault with a trash can.
Mhm.
But I also had Mariah May and Tony Storm. I really enjoyed that rivalry.
Mhm.
That was one match I really enjoyed, and it's still continuing on with Mariah May still having a great run, I would say. But definitely, and then Tony Storm coming back, and now like forgetting the whole like Hollywood movie icon
God,
gimmick.
did,
But
did
that's
you
fine.
guys see that recent segment she did? I don't know if it was strictly an online Instagram thing, but she was like,
Are you talking about Tony Storm?
yeah, Tony Storm. Must have been like before the Hammerstein ballroom thing. But she was like outside acting like a super fan and acting super
Yeah.
brand new. It was pretty funny.
No, she's been in a number of segments like that. She was in a segment. I mean, she just walked in. I think it was with Deanna Parazzo and I forgot her name. But yeah, she was basically. I mean, this is her thing right now. And again, for wrestler of the year, I was gonna say maybe we'll talk about it later. But yeah, she's a top contender. I just I know people would say like Liv Morgan or Rhea Ripley, but I feel like the AEW women have been pulling at my heartstrings more this year. Um, and again, Tony Storm, like, oh my god, like, the reason I want her in WWE is just because I just want her character to have more eyeballs. Because I just find it so entertaining, and I think she's doing such a good job. And I think she's a great actress as well. Like she had the actress gimmick, but I think actually she's a great actress. Her current, like, oh, I'm Tony Storm. I'm, rock on, whatever chick. Like, this is my first time ever. Like, she really pulls it off well. So,
Arr.
now. So, all right. What do we got left? Okay, well, actually, speaking of, well, you know what? We have two left. Promotion of the year, and that's going to just be an overall kind of commentary on, AEW, WWE. Let's do wrestler of the year. And again, if you got a male and a female, let me know. If you just got one, that's great too. This again is very difficult, and for the women, it boiled down to Toni Storm or Willow Nightingale. It was very hard because I thought both women had a great year. I think Willow Nightingale is someone who she's for me, she's like she has a style like CM Punk where like she's just talking on the microphone. She's not reading from a script. She doesn't feel like she's scripted. She feels genuine. Her character feels genuine. It feels like an extension of herself. Maybe it is herself. I don't know, but it works really well. She's damn good in the ring, and I just wish that they put more effort into her the entire year. She had the feud with Mercedes. The Chris Statlander thing, let's be honest, has been like up and down. It's like they feuded, they kind of forgot about it, and now they're kind of back to it a little bit. So I just feel like it just wasn't given enough love as it should have been. But but Willow Nightingale, I thought had a fantastic year. But I think I have to give it. I mean, I got to give it to Toni Storm, especially because as we're recording this, I mean, just the introduction of that old version of Tony Storm is like thinking she's an up and comer. I like honestly, if we're talking about storylines in AEW, I feel like that's been the most consistent, entertaining, fascinating thing to follow in AEW. Personally, is Tony Storm's character, her development, where she's at. Because who else does that right now in wrestling? Having that kind of gimmick, I can't think of anybody, and she's pulling it off. And I'm really looking forward to see where it goes. I don't know if her current version is like she's faking it, if actually in kayfabe or whatever she actually has amnesia because she was just so traumatized by the whole Mariah May thing that she is just like reverted back, like reset her inner psyche into like, I just started at AEW. I don't know, but that's what makes it entertaining. That's what makes it fascinating. So puts on good matches, great gimmick, great on the mic, great with the audience. She understands her character. Great acting. I mean, I don't know. Like she knows her character. She's very smart because I'm sure she put a lot of effort into her character, and she probably came up with a lot of the sayings. Toni Storm is my women's wrestler of the year. So there's that one. Now for wrestler of the year, I was actually stuck between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. And I wasn't sure which one to pick because I felt like Cody Rhodes. I mean, like if you have a 2-year story like that and you pay it off like that, and you're basically like John Cena, you're kissing babies, you're selling out arenas, high merchandise. I still think he's entertaining. I think he's a genuinely good guy. He's putting on great matches. He's still at the top of his game. He's had banger after banger. You can't help but have him like be match of the year. Like I mean wrestler of the year. And again, Drew McIntyre, the same thing. Banger after banger match. I mean, he just has great matches. He has like his feud with CM Punk was legendary. Everything he says makes sense. He's had issues with the bloodline, and it's just been a consistent, smart progression of his character where he's going right now. We'll see what happens on Raw, but I mean, another one like where I'm like, man, you did not have a bad moment this year. It was very hard, but I'm gonna have to give it to Cody Rhodes. I think I'm just gonna give it to Cody. I know it's basic, I know it's obvious, but I think it's right. Basic. I think it's the right choice.
Obvious.
It makes sense. All right, y'all. You are going to have to do the job of swerving me and telling me who is your wrestler of the year. All right, Chris, who's your wrestler of the year?
It's got to be, I would say Swerve and Tony. Or moi.
Swerve and Tony?
I think just Swerve overall, just because like anytime Swerve is with anybody, he just there's just some level of interestingness to just that initial matchup. He just has this aura about him when he whoever he has in front of him, Hangman or Bryan or whoever, like Lashley. It just Lashley. Well, exactly. Like he's been attaching himself to a lot of just interesting stuff. So like going into 2025 with this Hurt Syndicate stuff, he's like put him in a cool position of just like having again very just like interesting feuds for the sake of AEW. So I mean, I would say like put another belt on this man because he deserves that. He's very over with the crowd in AEW. Just like the pop he had, even like just backstage on a Dynamite or two ago, like it was just he's obviously the guy they need to put a lot of their effort for, especially they need like good faces. He's a good face to have. And yeah, just like because the match of the year for me was Bryan versus Swerve, so naturally somebody towards the top it would have been Swerve, or is Swerve for me, so I have to give it to him. He's positioned himself very well towards the end of the year now, giving himself looking like it's going to be a pretty successful first half of the year for him with the Hurt Syndicate stuff. That should be interesting. Yeah, I mean, Swerve's the man, puts on good matches, good promo. Black excellence, man. Give it to Swerve. And then Tony Tarney. I mean, she's great. I also want to kind of add that Mariah May probably would have been my breakout star because she was kind of the ditzy assistant, and then she kind of did her thing. So, but anyways, yeah, Tony. I don't know, like I love Rhea Ripley, but like Tony Storm is just kind of the whole package. You know what I mean? I feel like
She's got the X factor.
Rhea Ripley to me is kind of more of a one trick pony. She has the goth mommy gimmick thing, but Tony Storm has proven that she can be many things. She's slowly becoming kind of a Mick Foley style woman's version of like Mick Foley. She's probably gonna have a third gimmick at some point. You know what I mean? And then she's gonna be in their version of the Rumble coming out as all three or something like that. Who knows?
That'd be funny. They should.
Yeah. So props to Tony Storm, man. So my women's wrestler of the year.
Some good shit. I'll say Mariah. I feel like Mariah May's reign so far has been kind of mid. If I'm being honest. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't necessarily agree with what you said about Rhea Ripley being a one-trick pony, because I feel like you could apply that to, like, Stone Cold Steve Austin or Undertaker, be like, oh, why you gotta be a dead man and shit, you one-trick pony. I mean, I guess he was American Badass, but, like, you know, for most of his career, he's been the dead man, so...
You dead?
I don't think that, you know, I would put that against her, because I think Rhea Ripley had a great year. I just feel like have been so many great like women this year that it was just very hard, and I had to pick one, and that's what it boiled down to. You know, like Rhea Ripley, it wasn't my top, but I had to pick one, and I'm picking Tony. All right, David, who's your wrestler of the year, or two? Or three?
Have to give it to Swerve.
Skirt.
Swerve! What a swerve! Why?
So on top of all the match stuff, he's also has made himself the center of a lot of AEW media, like in terms of being press, showing up in sports, being one of the more, like, they used him and Lashley recently for an all-in press conference to get ready for Texas, and he just continues to do things like that I don't want to say other wrestlers don't want to do, but it's a hard job, and that's why WWE takes so long on picking champions. Like and I think Swerve's just trying to follow along in that, like, company man, like, champion has to show up places, champ has to make, you know, like he's really trying to make it his house.
Absolutely.
And then Tony Storm, because Tony Storm.
Everything that we said, all the above. I mean, like, going back to your point to Swerve Strickland about his character. I mean, like, that's the thing. I wish that he just had the belt somehow between the Moxley and Bryan Danielson thing. Yeah, I mean, John Moxley has the belt. I just feel like what are they called now? The Death Riders. I feel like it's also been kind of mid. No, I don't want to say mid, but I also don't want to say it ain't like rocking my socks off. You know what I mean? I feel like I wish Swerve Strickland was just. I wish he has the belt. So yeah, I feel like he's the guy who should be holding the belt right now. If I had to pick somebody.
Well, I guess, I mean, it could also be just like he can have a multi-title reign. So they can always say he's, like, you know, 3-time champ, 2-time champ, 4-time, whatever.
That's true. I just hope that it comes sooner than later.
Right. And I mean, as far as the Death Riders thing, I mean, Crescendo's on Saturday, so I guess we'll see what's gonna happen.
I think Moxley's gonna retain. I don't see any
Christian Cage is gonna cash in.
I don't think he's gonna. Even if he does, I don't think anything happening. I think Moxley's gonna retain.
There'll probably be some crazy shit that happens at the end. We'll see.
Maybe, as long as it's not like Wrestle Dream crazy, but
Worse.
worse.
Getting the
You gotta
gas.
end the year with a complete the Charlie Day giant map with red
Filming.
lines everywhere.
Filming in Austin.
All right, Andres, who is your wrestler of the year or two?
Or two. I like how I go last. So I usually just agree with the majority of the people. But like honestly, yeah, I gotta go give it up with Cody Rhodes.
Hell
He's
yeah,
been
that's
carrying.
right.
He's been carrying. Honestly, he's been carrying the title really well. Especially with his character. I mean, he's been running with great storylines, and I mean, right now with the stuff he's doing with Kevin Owens too, I'm loving that. I think Kevin's more carrying that though because he's being such a great heel with that. But like Cody's that good guy that like was such a good bad guy. It's just making a good storyline. So throughout the whole year with his rivalry with the Bloodline and now where he's at now, and it's awesome. I'm liking what he's doing. Obviously honorable mentions Swerve Strickland, of course. For AEW side, but for the female side, yeah, Tony Storm too. Tony Storm's recreating her character and like being who she is now. I love it. Like, I do wonder too. Like, at Chris's point, like if they do a Rumble, should we do, that's where I want to see the return. Honestly, I now that he said that, like, I totally want that to happen. Like, I'm a fan of that idea. But no, she's awesome. Like, I love the old gimmick she had, and this new one, like, okay, like it's funny, but like we'll see where it goes. But for what she's done, and she shows that she can like switch like characters and still do a really good job about it. Well, no, she's an all around great package too.
You're right. I mean, and to Cody's point, I think he is wrestler of the year. But I will say that once he got the belt, I felt like they didn't necessarily know where to go with him. And maybe that's just my perception. Maybe they always plan to have an AJ Styles one off or two off, whatever you want to call it. A Gunther interaction, sprinkle in, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton's waiting in the wings. I don't know. I don't want to say mid because that's not true. I think they have been very solid feuds and very solid matches. But I think once he had the belt, my perception, and this is just my perception. Maybe they're planning all along, whatever, is that they didn't know where to put him when The Rock and the Bloodline weren't involved. But
And that's a continuing story too. So
right,
that's
exactly.
gonna go well into next year. So it's going well,
Yeah, exactly. Because he didn't have a title match in Survivor Series. He didn't have a title match at Bad Blood. He had a title match at Saturday Night's Main Event. And that was probably a plan. I'm assuming that was the plan all along because they were like, all right, we have now four. I think they have four Saturday Night's Main Events, and we got to book something on it. So let's save the title match for Saturday Night's Main Event. Let's have him have some kind of continuing feud with the Bloodline. Here's a tag team, or here's a War Games match. Here's a tag team match, because that is the story. That's the thing that really got him. So you gotta keep that up. And this Kevin Owens thing. I mean, again, Kevin Owens is gonna be a contender for Wrestler of the Year next year for me because of the stuff he's currently doing. Again, like Triple H, they're all very good at like. They're heels, but what they're saying is true. Like if you run it through the logic machine and it comes out, it still makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he's not wrong, but he's still an a-hole. Like you're not wrong, but you could talk it out instead of doing a package pile driver or whatever, and then you have Cody Rhodes in a meme and like a dozen different scenarios if he's having Vindaloo or if he's going down a water slide. Yeah. If he's having curry or if he's doing a cannonball in a pool. But then you just made a meme. So, but yeah, that is gonna continue on into next year. We know that this upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw Netflix is going to go off. It's going to be bananas. I'm finally going to be able to watch Raw live again. We used to have cable when we were back on Sawyer, and now I'm back to being able to watch it live instead of catching the replay. So that should be interesting. I want to end the show with just our overall thoughts about who we think is the promotion of the year. So who and there are a number of factors when I ask you about why they are your promotion of the year and why you think the other person isn't. So just keep these in mind when I ask you. So their biggest successes, biggest disappointments, any significant changes. You can even factor in business decisions, and obvious ones are like Netflix, Max, that kind of stuff. If you want to factor that into your decision making, it doesn't have to be. It's your wonderland. You tell me. But I mean, I think for me, the obvious one is WWE. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? They had the best matches, the best feuds, the best consistent, logical matches and storylines. For me, I didn't pick AEW, and I've said this time and time again, and this is my soapbox, and I'm going to say it one more time in the year 2024, is that AEW had too many start and stop matches, feuds that started, stopped, changed mid-direction that didn't make sense to me, like MJF and Adam Cole. Even like the current Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander thing, that was also like, did it, dropped it, doing it again. Frustrating. Biggest frustration was obviously between April and May for AEW with the CM Punk thing, and then they thought they were going to do this big thing with the Elite. They shat the bed. They forgot about it, and the Young Bucks were basically some kind of like, sideshow that they were kind of there, kind of weren't, but they weren't like the big bad Elite. It felt more like a comedy act, and that is not what people were expecting. At least I don't think it was, and that's disappointing to me. And also, obviously, the dwindling ratings and attendance. When we went to the shows, the energy just wasn't there as it was if I went to a WWE show. If I'm being honest and objective, it's true. You can't deny that. So I gotta say, WWE is my promotion of the year. Chris, who are you gonna say? GCW?
GC Dub. Freelance, baby. That's promotion of the year. God damn it.
Hell yeah. I'll give it to you. Is that what you want to say?
No, but well, yes. yes, but if we're specifically talking about WWE or AEW, I'd have to say WWE, just because they have good consistency, which I think is important. I think that 2024 for AEW was kind of a struggle year. I feel like they were really just trying to do a lot of different stuff and seeing what kind of stuck. I feel like they're kind of getting some bearing towards the end of the year now, so 2025 should be interesting with all the Max stuff. And I guess they finally got rid of freaking Rampage. I've been saying like Rampage is a useless show. At this point, if you're gonna make a 2-hour show and a 2-hour show, like having the 1-hour show or whatever it was, is like wasting time. So I feel like they had to go through kind of the shitter in 2024 to try to hopefully figure out what 2025 looks like. So hopefully all this criticism that might have been dawned on them is kind of sticking in their brain, in Tony Khan's brain. But yeah, WWE was definitely the more consistent juggernaut, obviously home brand, whatever you want to call it, house brand. So yeah, I would have to give it to WWE. But yeah, my heart goes to freelance, low key, not just talking about the two.
Yeah, I mean, talk about quality over quantity. I mean, they put out one show a month. I don't know if is it every month. I don't even know if it's every month, but
more or less, it's once a month.
Yeah, but one show a month, and like we said, the best bang for your buck is a freelance wrestling show. If you want to get entertainment, you want wrestling, you get storylines. Freelance wrestling. And yeah, again, like to your point, like what you said, WWE Promotion of the Year. I think it's not like AEW had like a completely terrible year because at the beginning of the year they did have that restore the feeling thing because they had a bunch of signings: Mercedes, Okada, Osprey. But again, then the disappointment came. Like, here's the roller coaster, and then here comes, oh, where's Okada? Now he just says bitch like every other time.
I'm so
And like,
entertained.
yeah, it's entertaining, but I felt like it's not what you expected when you
For
were
sure.
when you were thinking of Okada and AEW. Like he feels like a backseat act right now,
Right.
if we're being honest. All right, David,
I'd have
ring
to
in the new
give,
year. Tell me what you got. Who's your promo of the year?
I had to give it to WWE.
The Fed. We're a bunch of Fed drones, as the internet likes to say. E drones. Why?
Uh,
Same reasons.
Damn, we in New Jersey.
Expansion, new titles, more opportunity. They added the WWE ID
Mhm.
on top of all the things that we talked about in Match of the Year, Superstar of the Year, Feud of the Year. We didn't even talk about the Bloodline.
Exactly. Like, think of all that
Mhm.
shit.
All the
Anything
Bloodline.
on Bloodline.
We're talking about surprises. We still had Gorillas of Destiny come to WWE. We still had Jacob Fatu, who's taking over in his own way.
Man, that's another one I forgot to bring up. That is a break. That was my other breakout star of the year was Jacob Fatu. But think about how
Solo's
many
coming into his
wrestlers.
own. Like,
Yeah, good shit.
Jey Uso's an Intercontinental champ. You can finally tell the difference between him and Jimmy.
Exactly. Short
And then,
hair, ponytail.
yeah.
Or
Yeet, no
pigtails.
yeet.
Yeet, no yeet. Exactly. Red, blue.
Right.
Amatanga, Tangaloa.
But
No,
yeah,
I mean,
all that.
yeah. You brought great points, and you brought up like a whole other like layer of things that we didn't even talk about. Like
Braun
that's how
Breaker,
big of
LA
a
Knight.
exactly Gunther. We didn't even say Gunther. Like
Yeah.
Gunther had a fantastic year. He's currently the effing champ.
Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton.
Nia Jax, Liv Morgan. I mean, we kind of did, like she was also a women of the year
Yeah.
contender. I mean, this year was incredibly hard, but it also just shows you like because we're like head first in it right now. You're not even paying attention that much. But when we sit back and we talk about like in 5 years from now, let's review 2024, that era, like this year and these past 2 years at least have been such like a plethora of like amazing wrestlers, like talent, storylines, all that kind of stuff. Like we're really spoiled right now, and I hope people realize that.
Mhm.
Um, ooh, Andres, all right, no pressure, but you're the last person.
Yeah.
Who's your promo of the year? Why? Give me reasons.
No, easy for me to say WWE. They've just been more consistent with putting on better shows. Great storylines, great rivalries, and then for me personally, whenever you guys are hosting something, I know you guys watch AEW reviews, but I'm usually always there for every WWE one. I think most
Mhm.
of us are actually. But yeah, no, easy
Chris
for
and
me
I
to
are
say because I
there
mean,
no matter what.
Yeah, they're
yeah,
the A dubs for life, even if it's like a good
Yeah.
ish
Even
show.
if it
it's a
means
good
just
ish
some
show.
cold burgers.
Yeah.
And it's not that like
Honestly,
obviously like AEW doesn't have the talent to be a great show either. It does, but it's just the writing. It just itself has just been significantly way more consistently better in WWE. And David's point too, to bringing in the WWE ID, they're expanding the industry. They're helping out so much, and then the whole Netflix thing. I mean, even just the end of the year, how they're going into next year, they're on fire. They're doing amazing. This is probably one of the greatest years of WWE, I'd say.
I mean, like you said, like the expanding. I mean, I think they got acquired by Endeavor. Was it last year? I think that it was finalized in 2023, maybe. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
blending in together, but maybe one of you guys can look it up. But yeah, I mean, like they're consistent building, and again, it's expanding the concept of WWE. Like David made a good point, and I forgot about bringing up WWE ID. Like you have NXT, but now you're also like bringing in indie wrestlers into the mix,
Yeah.
and it's its own program. Like it's another. Like think about the sheer amount of talent you have in NXT. You have the collegiate program, which we didn't talk about because that's also, I think, its own thing. And now you're adding another like dimension to your up and coming wrestlers with WWE ID. I mean, it's a juggernaut. Like it is
Yeah.
the NFL of wrestling, and you can't deny it. And it's kind of hard to deny WWE being the promotion of the year. But to AEW's point, I really feel like most of their shows have been like their pay-per-views, I want to say, have been bangers. If we're talking about like objective, like just the matches and the feeling of the shows, Revolution, Dynasty, All In, All Out, Full
Bring in the
Gear ish.
boom.
Bringing the boom. I mean that was a good like I enjoyed that match
I did
more
too.
than like other matches even in WWE. So
That had no right being that hard.
it had
Man.
no
That
right being
spear
that
from
good.
Big Justice, that
Yeah.
was hard.
Big
mean,
Boom
I gotta
AJ
say-
working with a broken foot.
Exactly.
crazy.
I mean,
Real
talk
worker,
about
baby.
he gets his flowers. I don't care. Go to the
Real
Hammerstein
worker.
Ballroom, be Costco guys. I don't care. Do it because you guys deserved it. So I mean, like AW's pay-per-views are great. It's just everything around it. You know, the things that the threads that connect to them aren't always are hit or miss. But that's a
Honorable
good.
mention TNA, baby.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Joe
TNA.
Hendry.
Um,
Joe Hendry could be a breakout star of the
Ah,
year.
see, that's another one. We didn't talk about Joe Hendry. That was another person I was thinking of too. Yeah, I mean that guy, Joe Hendry. I mean, just by his song, he got over. Just by his song. Um, and again, like someone who like it. Chelsea Green was in an interview with. I forgot his name, but anyway, this was right after she won the belt, and she said, you know, it took me 10 years to be an overnight success. Same thing with Joe Hendry. You know, like these people. It's not like they just started becoming popular. They obviously put in the work, but man, talk about both of them getting like their payoff this year. Again, like this year is crazy in terms of talent and stuff. So yeah, good stuff. Great conversation. Great 2024. I'm looking to our next episode. I'm looking forward to interviewing Coda Hernandez and just talking about his career, how he started watching wrestling, and I'm looking forward to 2025 being even bigger than 2024 for Chi-Town Shoot Wrestling. That's a wrap for this episode.